You know how some experiences from childhood, they just seem to stick with you, casting this long shadow over your whole life? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating study that gives us a biological answer to why that happens.
So the big question we're tackling is this: how does a stressful childhood actually change our brains for the rest of our lives? It's a question that honestly affects everything, from our health to our happiness.
And the answer, which is pretty mind-blowing, isn't just about memories. No, it's literally written into the physical wiring, the functional architecture of our brains. So let's explore exactly how that works.
Okay, so to really get into this, we first have to understand what we're talking about from a scientific point of view.
The term they use is early life adversity, or ELA for short. And look, we're not talking about just one bad day here. This is about chronic, unpredictable stress happening right when the brain is doing its most important development. And it turns out, this can set someone up for a whole range of issues down the road. So, how do you actually see this rewiring happen? Well, to get those biological answers, scientists needed a way to peek inside the brain over time. And for that, they used a mouse model. This is where it gets really cool. We're about to go on a journey right inside a living brain to watch an experiment in stress unfold. All right, here's how they set it up. It's a three-part experiment. First, right from day 2, they raised one group of mice in a standard, comfy environment, and the other group experienced early life adversity. Then, once they were adults, their brains were scanned. First at rest in their home cage, then during a pretty scary moment, the smell of a predator. And finally, they scanned them again 9 days later to see what's the long-term damage, what scars are left behind.
Now, the tech that makes all this possible is called MEMRI, and it is so clever. Basically, they introduce a safe tracer, manganese. As neurons fire up and get active, they slurp up this manganese. Then an MRI scan comes in and creates this incredible map. It's like a history of brain activity, showing exactly which parts have been working overtime. And using this tech led to the very first and maybe most surprising discovery of the whole study. It's all about what the ELA brain looks like before any new stress even enters the picture.
Okay, think about it. You'd expect a brain in its safe home cage to be pretty chill, right? In a calm, baseline state. But what about the brain that went through all that early stress? What does its baseline look like?
Well, the results were just dramatic. Seriously, look at the bar charts here. The yellow bars, that's the ELA brain. Even when they're supposed to be at rest, those bars are way higher than the blue ones for the standard brain. This means that the parts of the brain that handle stress and threats, they're already hyperactive. They're already on alert.
The perfect way to think about it is like a car alarm that's just way too sensitive. You know the one. It's already buzzing, humming at a low level, ready to blast off, even when there's absolutely no danger.
So that begs the question, right? What happens when you introduce a real threat to the system? What happens when you add stress to a brain that's already pre-stressed?
This is where it gets really fascinating. When the standard, normal brain gets hit with the predator threat, its activity shoots up. And you know what it looks like? It looks like the ELA brain did at rest. Let that sink in. What a normal brain considers a high-stress, emergency state is just the starting point, the baseline for the ELA brain. This really helps you understand why two people can experience the same event, and one is completely overwhelmed while the other sees it as manageable. Their starting points are worlds apart. But wait, there's more. The ELA brain doesn't just get louder. It doesn't just turn up the volume on that existing activity. No, it completely reconfigures its response. The hyperactivity actually shifts into totally new areas, deeper down in the midbrain and hindbrain. It's a fundamentally different reaction. And this brings us to the last and maybe most important question. After all this is over, after the threat is long gone, does the brain ever go back to normal? What are the scars that remain?
And here is the aftermath. These scans are from 9 days after the threat. Look at those highlighted areas. That shows you where there's lasting hyperactivity. Now, what's clear is that neither brain fully reset to its original state, but it's so obvious that the ELA brain is showing a much more persistent, lingering hyperactivity. The shadow really does stick around.
And when we look closer, we see exactly which regions carry these scars. There's lasting hyperactivity in the amygdala, that's our emotion processing center, the hippocampus, which is crucial for memory and stress, the locus coeruleus, which is like our vigilance and arousal switch, and the hypothalamus, the master controller of our hormones. The whole system is affected.
This quote from the study really nails it.
A big traumatic event leaves a mark on any brain. Nobody gets away scot-free. But the big takeaway here is that early life adversity changes the very nature of that scar. It makes it deeper, more pronounced, and much more persistent.
So what's the big picture here? What does this all add up to? Well, what we're looking at is basically a new map of a brain that's been reconfigured. A brain that has been fundamentally rewired for the future by what happened in its past.
This one summary image just tells the entire story beautifully. You see the ELA brain, in yellow, starting out way more active. Then it reacts to stress in a completely different way, and afterward, it just doesn't cool down properly. It is a complete, top-to-bottom functional rewiring, all because of those early experiences.
So here's the bottom line. Early life adversity isn't just a bad memory. It creates a deep, functional imbalance across the entire brain. It literally changes the brain's default settings and alters how it's going to respond to, well, everything for the rest of its life.
And this is precisely why all of this matters so much. As the researchers themselves put it, this remodeling gives us critical insights into human mental health. It's the biological explanation for why tough childhood experiences can create these lifelong vulnerabilities.
Which leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. If adversity has the power to rewire the brain for vulnerability, could we also learn how to intentionally rewire it for resilience?